Okay, welcome councillors, staff, members of the gallery and people viewing online to the June Ordinary Council meeting. Read the disclaimer, sorry for the delay, a few printing problems. Read the disclaimer. Members of the public are advised that recommendations the council contain within this agenda can be subject to change. Applicants and other interested parties should refrain from taking any action until written advice is received confirming council's decisions with respect to any particular issue. Any statement or insinuation of approval regarding any planning or development application made during an ordinary council meeting is not to be taken as notice of approval. Anyone who has an application lodged with the Shire must obtain and should only rely on written confirmation of the outcome of the application and any conditions attached to the decision made by council. Council members and the community are reminded that should the exception resolution be passed, this has the effect of making the decision to accept the officer recommendation stated in the agenda as the council's decision without change. An audio and visual record will be made by means of live streaming of these proceedings and uploaded to the Shire's YouTube page for viewing. Acknowledgement of country. The Shire of Harvey acknowledges the traditional custodians of the land and their continuing connection to the land, waters and community. We pay our respects to all members of the Aboriginal communities, their cultures, and to elders past, present and emerging. And I recognise Bashir in the gallery today. We have a procedural motion that Council, that I'll move that Council suspend standing orders Part 8, Clause 8.5, members to indicate their intention to speak and to rise when speaking, to allow members to remain seated when speaking, to improve the quality of the audio recording of the meeting. That's moved by me. Do I have a second? Second, Councillor Holly. All those in favour? It's unanimous. Record of apologies and leave of absence. Shire President Campbell requested to attend the Tuesday 23rd of June Ordinary Council meeting electronically in accordance with Regulation 14C2B of the Local Government Administration Regulations 1996. The Deputy Shire President has approved this request and is satisfied that the location from which the member intends to attend the meeting and the equipment that the member intends to use to attend the meeting is suitable for the member to be able to effectively engage in the deliberations and communications during the meeting, as per Regulation 14C5 and 14D6 of the regulations. Can you hear us, Councillor Campbell?
I can. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you.
Councillor Hitchcock requested to attend the Tuesday 23rd of June 2026 Ordinary Council meeting electronically in accordance with Regulation 14C2B of the Local Government Administration Regulations 1996. The Deputy Shire President has approved this request and is satisfied that the location from which the member intends to attend the meeting and the equipment that the member intends to use to attend the meeting is suitable for the member to be able to effectively engage in deliberations and communications during the meeting as per Regulation 14C5 and 14D6 of the regulations. Can you hear us, Councillor Hitchcock?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Apologies, we have nil leave of absence. We have a leave of absence from Councillor McCarthy. Applications for leave of absence. There's a leave of absence for myself requested from Saturday the 27th of June to Wednesday the 8th of July inclusive. Can I have a move for that, please? Move Councillor Morley, seconded Councillor Bromham. All those in favour? It's unanimous. Also have a leave of absence for myself from Monday the 20th of July to Sunday the 2nd of August inclusive. And I'll move for that, please. Councillor Holly, Councillor Morley. Seconding. All those in favour? It's unanimous. Declaration of members and officers' personal interests. We have one, they up on the screen from Councillor Dickinson and Councillor Campbell to do the honours and awards. There'll also be a declaration of interest similar to President Campbell's for myself for the same item, and I'll judge it impartially and stay in the room for it. Councillor Holly.
Item number 5.3.2, known to the proponent, and I'll say that the town is as well.
Councillor Morley.
Yeah, the same one as Councillor Holly.
Yeah, same.
Known to the.
Same for me.
And Councillor Bond. No more declarations. Questions by members of which due notice has been given is nil. Item 6, response to previous questions taken on notice is nil. Public question time. We have a question from Mr. Duncan Booth, if you'd like to come forward.
We must do this alphabetically. Seems to be first every time.
Hello, everyone. Just state your name and locality, thanks.
Duncan Booth, 22 Harvey Street, Harvey. I've got two questions. The first one is many ratepayers feel that the council is not listening to them. This is made worse when they see the Shire willing to spend thousands of dollars on a process to choose a preferred name for the city before the minister has even decided if we're allowed to become a city. If the minister does say no, then that money is completely wasted. There's no rush to do it now. At the same time, I've been told by quite a few staff members actually that some departments are having to restrict their normal activities in the last couple of months of the year, of the financial year, because their budgets have been raided to cover overspending in other departments. Even if it's only 1 month, departments are restricted. That means 8% of the year that department is forced to operate under budget restraints. Why is the Shire playing fast and loose with ratepayers' money in some areas while not even being able to manage its budgets properly across full year in others?
Mr. Putnam, would you like to address the city part of the question?
The first part, yes, through the chair. There has been no consultation on the name. The Shire is waiting for a response from the Minister before undertaking any further consultations.
Right. Mr. Winter, would you like to respond on that? Yes. Whether departments are running out of money?
Yes, thank you. I'm not aware of any departments or directorates that have that complaint. We meet weekly as an executive. It's not something that's been raised. Looking through the review of the budget, it's not an issue that has been raised there either. So I'm not sure where the question has derived from. You mentioned from staff, but I'm not aware of anything coming from staff to suggest that we have a shortage in one area that's being used to prop up another area. In fact, to go beyond that, at the budget review, we reviewed what the potential end-of-year budget was compared to actuals, made amendments, and that was adopted by council, and we've been adhering to that, so I'm not aware of any issue in that area.
Okay, that's interesting. All right, question 2. Full-time equivalent staff members at the Shire have increased at a much higher rate than the Shire population. Rate increases have been well above CPI for many years now, and given that we are currently recruiting a new CEO, what has the council been doing to ensure that the current CEO properly manages departmental budgets throughout the year instead of, well, this goes on to the other, raiding other departments, which is the feedback that I have had from quite a few people who work for the Shire, to cover overspending in others? What measures will the council put in place to ensure that the new CEO...
We're just seeing hearsay information here. If you want to name someone, please do. I mean, you're quoting stuff that you've just been told is incorrect.
No, I've been quoted that gentleman hasn't heard of this. It doesn't mean that on the ground this is actually happening. It may need some investigation. Thank you for interrupting me, Councillor Bronner.
All right.
And what measures the council put in place to ensure that the new CEO manages the budget properly and does not continue the same financial management? Okay, I understand that you can't do that with the answers that were given late before, can't be answered. But,
Mr. Booth, I can answer that. You've made allegations of poor financial performance. I would like to know where the evidence is of that. Financial health ratio from the My Council website is 82, which is above the benchmark of 70. You state in regards to employment expenses, Council had a presentation on the workforce and diversity plan where they advised that the salaries were in line with other regional and 2 local governments. So I'm not exactly sure where you're getting the information to make a claim such as you are. Council reviews the budget, as the Director of Corporate Services has stated through the budget review. They are provided with financial management reports every month, and you can ask questions on that. I'm not aware that there are any concerns from councillors in regards to the financial management of the show.
Okay, thanks for your answers.
Others? Thanks, Mr. Booth. I have a number of questions been sent in to us, so I'll go through them as much as we can. From Miss Belinda Williams. Why did Shire officers present a request to Council on 24th of March 2026 for funding of $145,000 to reinstate the lighting on Oval 4 without including temporary lighting poles? The answer I have is officers sought $145,000 to reinstate Oval 4 lighting by replacing existing luminaries with LED fittings. Existing fittings could not be reliably repaired because parts were no longer available and failures were continuing. Temporary lighting was not recommended due to additional unbudgeted costs, uncertain lux levels, insurance concerns, and poor practicality for the whole oval. Question 2, can Council please consider the request to include temporary lighting poles to 50 lux for amateur training requirement as per the Football West Football Lighting Supplementary Information minimum lux levels and reading? Shire officers have informed AGCSC, which is the soccer club I take it, that 100 lux lighting for up to 3 months could cost more than $65,000. However, the club does not need 100 lux, they need 50 lux. The answer given is officers have advised 50 lux would not materially reduce cost or time frame of the portable lights, and the available quote barely achieved 50 lux. The majority of costs quoted relate to mobilisation, fuel and labour costs to refill and demobilisation. Officers have been working with the Australian Junior Soccer Club to provide alternative options including Brunswick Oval and the recently upgraded Oval 1 at Leschnault Recreation Park. In addition, rugby and HBLFC reportedly offered shared or modified training options, but these did not appear to have been taken up. The Shire will continue to work directly with the club to address their concerns. I have 2 questions on it. 2 questions from Ms Stone. The decision to hold all council meetings in June at the Boundary garnered significant community disappointment in Australian as to why the meetings could not be held at the PAF. The Shire of Harvey Facebook post responses indicated there may be a cost involved in hire of the venue as well as hiring of equipment to meet the live streaming requirements. The Shire recently spent $13,200 on a feasibility study into an equestrian centre in Harvey. A quick inquiry with Totally Sound in Bunbury costed equipment hire at $2,000 per meeting, or $12,000 for 6 meetings to be held in Australind. Given that Australind and the surrounding urban area meet the population threshold for city designation, and that Council has not held a single meeting in Australind for more than 2 years despite ongoing requests from the community, when will the Council request a report detailing the methodology, evidence-based and community consultation outcomes relied upon to justify major expenditure and strategic decisions affecting the southern end of the Shire, and how those decisions reflect demonstrated community sentiment? The answer: the Shire acknowledges the community interest in holding council meetings in Australind and appreciates the matters raised. In relation to the June council meetings, a range of venue options were considered. The Boundary was ultimately selected as the most suitable location having regard to the operational, technical and legislative requirements. Under Section 5.23 of the Local Government Act 1995, council meetings must be open to the public, while also allowing for proper management of confidential items where required. This necessitates venues that provides appropriate control of the premises, suitable infrastructure and ability to support both public attendance and confidential procedures. On assessment, the pavilion does not currently provide sufficient capacity for the Shire to reliably meet these requirements. Following storm damage, the Harvey Council chambers became unavailable, requiring the Shire to secure a temporary alternative venue. The Boundary was able to accommodate meetings with the necessary audio-visual, live streaming and recording capabilities already in place, enabling continuity of council operations with minimal additional costs to the ratepayers. By comparison, holding meetings in Australind during this period would have required additional expenditure on equipment hire, technical setup and support services. With respect to broader decision making and community input, Council already considers detailed information when assessing major projects and expenditure. Officer reports presented to Council include relevant evidence, technical advice, strategic considerations and financial implications. Where formal community engagement is undertaken, consultation reports are also prepared and made publicly available. These outline the methods used, participation levels and key themes raised by the community and are used to inform council decisions alongside legislative obligations and councillor input. For example, during the development of the council plan, engagement activities specifically included surveys distributed to Australian households, local workshops, targeted promotional activities and broader media outreach. Feedback from this process was captured in a formal report and considered by Council. In relation to the Equestrian Centre feasibility study, this work was commissioned to assess the viability of a specific proposal and is not connected to the temporary relocation of council meetings. Council notes that should elected members wish to seek further review or reporting on any matter, this can be initiated through a notice of motion or via Council's planning processes. Importantly, the Shire has already commenced planning and procurement processes for the reinstatement of a council chamber in Australind through upgrades to the Australind Administration Centre. Once completed, this will provide a permanent compliant facility to support council meetings and address the strong community interest in holding meetings in Australind. The Shire will continue to keep the community informed as the project progresses. Question 2. Does Council have any formal mechanism for assessing reputational risk with state and federal funding partners arising from repeated deferral of externally funded or committed projects? And if not, how is that risk considered in capital works prioritisation decisions? Answer given. The Shire has established mechanisms for identifying, assessing and managing risks, including reputational risk, through a risk management policy and risk management framework, which are aligned with the principles of ISO 31000 risk management. Risks associated with projects, including those that may have implications for relationships with state and federal funding partners, are considered within the Shire's broader risk management processes. Risks are assessed against established operational and strategic risk tolerances and are managed at the appropriate level within the organisation. The Shire also provides a quarterly risk report to the Audit, Risk and Improvement Committee for review and oversight. Where a risk exceeds the organisation's approved tolerance levels and cannot be adequately managed at the directorate level, it is escalated for further consideration and review through the Shire's governance processes, including reporting to ARIC where appropriate. We'll get one more question in from Ms Peterson. At the February 2026 Ordinary Council meeting, officers advised Council that an independent external condition assessment of the Leisure Centre aquatic facilities had been commissioned to identify compliance, safety, accessibility, maintenance and asset renewal issues, and that the outcomes would be reported to Council through normal processes. This advice was relied upon in response to my notice of motion seeking a formal report within 90 days. That was the preamble, sorry. Question 1. Has the independent external condition assessment been completed, and if so, provide the exact dates of commissioning, completion and receipt by the Shire of Harvey and confirm whether the Council has been formally provided with the full findings and report? The answer is yes. The independent external condition assessment of the Leisure Centre aquatic facilities has been completed. The assessment was commissioned as part of the Shire's broader asset management and capital planning process and was completed in March 2026. It reviewed the condition of the facility, identified maintenance and renewal priorities, and has been used to inform future planning and investment decisions for the centre. The rest of the questions, being that there's still quite a lot of questions left, being it's over the 15-minute mark, these questions will be taken on notice and answers provided through the normal course. That ends public question time. Moving on to petitions and deputations. I'll call on Leslie Hugel to come forward, please.
Thank you, Councillor Kibani, for your briefing. Thank you, councillors, for having me here today. Can you all hear me?
Straighten up the front if you could leave the day.
Sorry. Thank you again, Councillor Kibani, for your briefing, and thank you, councillors, for inviting me here today to speak. Today I want to speak plainly about reconciliation, about why reconciliation cannot remain symbolic or optional. Our culture is one of the oldest continuing and continuous knowledge systems on the planet, and its whole histories have been preserved with an accuracy that is unmatched anywhere in the world. Stories such as the beginning of the coal time and the account of Wajima, his rottenness, once being connected to the mainland, have now been scientifically dated to around 6,000 years. That means Noongar people have carried, protected and passed down their history across a span of time so vast that most civilisations have risen and fallen within it. If the great empires of Egypt had preserved their knowledge with the same precision, we would know exactly how the pyramids were built. This is not just remarkable, it is globally significant. And it is happening here on this country, in the community we live in. Reconciliation is not about politeness or box ticking. It is about recognising that we are custodians of a cultural inheritance that is unlike anything else on earth. When we support RAPs, when we uphold welcome to country, when we listen to elders, we are not doing anyone a favour. We are honouring a knowledge system that has survived ice ages, sea level rise, colonisation and every challenge faced before it. We have a responsibility not just to Noongar people, but to future generations, to protect, respect and elevate this culture. Reconciliation demands action, commitment and courage. It demands that we stop treating Noongar knowledge as an optional extra and start recognising it as the foundation of this place. If we truly value the land we live on, then we must value the people who have cared for it for thousands of years. Anything less is not reconciliation. In closing, I want to be clear, reconciliation is not symbolic and is not optional. We are living on country where Noongar people have preserved their history with an accuracy unmatched anywhere else in the world. Stories have been carried for 6,000 years, confirmed by science, protected through every challenge. When this council supports reconciliation actions, when we uphold welcome to country, when we listen to elders, we are not performing ceremony. We are honouring one of the oldest and most resilient knowledge systems on earth. Our responsibility now is to move beyond acknowledgement and into action, to ensure that Noongar culture is not just respected, but actively protected and elevated and embedded in the decisions we make. Reconciliation demands courage, it really does. It depends leadership, it demands leadership, and depends on it. And it demands that we recognise the extraordinary cultural inheritance we stand upon. In saying that, I'm so proud to be a descendant of the oldest living culture in the world. And I urge this council to act with the seriousness and the commitment that this responsibility deserves. Thank you, Councillor.
Thank you, Vicky. I have another presentation request from Amanda Lovett. Right, come forward.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Amanda Lovett from Australia. I'm here today to encourage this council to support the Reconciliation Action Plan for a number of reasons. Firstly, these plans were begun in 2006, that is 20 years ago. They're not new, they're not a fad, and they have achieved a great deal for communities in that time. The first local government in WA to have a plan, endorsed by Reconciliation Australia, was the City of Coburn in 2011, that is 15 years ago. Reconciliation Australia's website shows the impact in the 24-25 financial year in data collected from 2,190 organisations with plans. 20% of Australians work or study in an organisation with a plan. That's almost 6 million people. In addition, over 10 million are members of a peak body or sports club with a plan. No doubt a lot of people in this room. 65% of organisations change processes or policies. Within this Shire, we have Mr Dennis Jetta, OAM, Mr Greg Ugle, NAIDOC Elder of the Year in 2019, Leslie Ugle and Nell Wallen, who have achieved national recognition for their work. Yet Local Government Association does not have a plan to support and encourage others to follow suit. A reconciliation action plan will support and encourage respect from non-Aboriginal people in the Shire as well. It will show leadership and unity, two things that have appeared missing in recent public discourse. This is not just about the continuation of acknowledgement of country and welcome to country, but about deepening understanding and respect. As Leslie said last week in her deputation, which inspired me to travel to Harvey today, a plan is nothing without action. The term Reconciliation Action Plan really does work in that order. Reconciliation first, that is respect, understanding and learning. First Nations people know more about European culture than the reverse. That's because they went to school there and they were taught the same as we were, though they knew the truth and we didn't. It's time for us to learn that truth, to acknowledge, to respect and to reconcile. Action, what do we do? So often we hear the question, what are they going to do? Well, relationships are a two-way street and we need to learn. If you haven't been to a language class here, then I suggest that you do. Go visit Bullabiddy. Perhaps consider changing the name of the street it's located on. Be open. And lastly, plan. What is the Shire's plan for the future for reconciliation? Will councillors attend events, actively engage? NAIDOC week starts in 12 days, so check your diaries and make plans. On a personal level, I made a deputation in November 2023, a month after ceasing my 12-year service as a councillor. It was to support the retention of acknowledgement of country. It was to support the whole community to do better and to be cohesive. Reconciliation is important in many aspects of Shire life, particularly at present. Recent decisions have caused a divide, and I believe the Reconciliation Action Plan is a step forward in that area as well. As someone who volunteered for 20 years here, who sat on council for 12, I would like to see more action and more reconciliation and more plan, and this is the ideal forum to do it. On a personal note, today will be my last deputational question here as I am leaving the Shire. My home of 18 years is on the market and I'm moving to a different area of the region. So today I want to just acknowledge that it was an honour to serve the community over the last 20 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sloan. For that, there's no more deputations. Is there any more deputations from the Ms. Loftus?
I'd just like to point out that you always state in your reports that there is equity and fairness to all ratepayers. I'd like to point out that this, in my eyes, is not correct. 10 years ago, our Shire rates went up about $300 each year. That was fair. Since that fair rise, especially in the last 8 years, we have seen enormous wastage of money with very high rate rises. We seem to have a triangle. We all live in the same community, but we have a triangle of unfairness. At this point, we have people living in brand new homes, not paying a cent in Shire rates. At this point, we have people living in $1.7 million value houses, paying $2,000 a year in Shire rates. And from this point, we have 1,800 rural landowners who pay an average of $20,000 per year in Shire rates. We all live in the same community, we all use the same facilities, we use the same roads, yet in the last 10 years, we have 1,800 rural landowners who've had to find $150,000 each just to pay the Shire rates. I just wanted to point out, I don't think this is fair, even though you reported it as fair.
Thank you, Mr. Bottas. No more deputations? If not, I'll move on to 9, announcements by the presiding member or CEO without discussion. I'd just like to say that this is the CEO's last ordinary council meeting. So on behalf of Shire councillors and indeed the whole Shire, Annie, we pass on our gratitude for the last 8 years. It's not an easy job. As many of us who sit around this table know, we wish you all the best, City of Usseley, and hope you enjoy yourself in the next chapter of your career. But by all means, from the people of the Shire of Harvey, thanks for the last 8 years. Okay, with that, we'll move on to confirmation of minutes of the last ordinary council meeting. Is there any questions? If not, I'll ask for a mover. Move Councillor Holly, second Councillor Drummond. All those in favour? It's unanimous. Confirmation of the special council meeting minutes on Tuesday 9th of June. Is there any questions on that one? If not, I'll ask for a mover. Move Councillor Dickinson, seconded Councillor Coleman. All those in favour? It's unanimous. And receipt of the minutes and recommendations from the Local Emergency Management Committee on Monday the 8th of June. Is there any discussion out of that one? If not, I'll ask for a mover. Move Councillor Bromham, second Councillor Morley. All those in favour? That's unanimous. Okay, I have a procedural motion getting moved by President Campbell that item 12.5.2, the Reconciliation Action Plan, be brought forward as first item to be heard, followed by the rest of the agenda in order. You moving that, Councillor Campbell?
Yes, I do, thank you.
Seconded. Councillor Holly, all those in favour? Okay, so we'll move on to the 12.5.2, the Reconciliation Action Plan, and we have an officer's recommendation. Do I have a mover? Move Councillor Morley, seconder. Councillor Dickinson. Would you like to speak on that, Councillor Morley?
No, I'm fine, thank you.
Councillor Dickinson. Is there a speaker against? Well, I'll speak against. And before I do speak against, I'd like to thank the people who put the deputations forward, and it's by no means anything personal, and I'd like to acknowledge the work that Ethan from the Shire has put into this going forward. But we do live in a democracy, and we are entitled to different points of view, and whatever the end result is here, I'll accept, as I do with all council decisions. But I've said for quite some time, in fact, going back to in November of 1923, that some of the actions through this process is starting to hurt the Aboriginal cause, and I've always said that people want better outcomes for Aboriginal people. But as you've seen in recent times, the booing of the Welcome to Country is, the appalling display at the Anzac Day ceremonies just recently of booing of the Welcome to Country. I think the general population aren't on favour, certainly the people who speak to me in the Shire of Harvey, the dual naming, the forced cultural awareness training, and even the flags. There's certainly a mood out there, and I have to say, people see it as reverse discrimination, and probably no single issue in my 15 years on council has garnered me enough support. People come and speak to me as recent as last week when I was filling up my youth, saying, good on you for speaking up, saying the things that we're too scared to say, basically. Now, there's been a monumental shift to right-wing conservative politics right around the world just recently, and you've seen how One Nation is so high in the polls at the moment, and that's because people are sick of being told what to do and what to say. And if you're expressing a view that is counter to the so-called progressives, you get shouted down. And it's modern-day oppressors who shout you down from free speech. And I recently went to Sydney, and only 2 weeks ago, I was in Sydney, and I did the bus tour around Sydney, the Red Top bus tour. And they're celebrating their 250 years in Sydney over there. And we're celebrating 125 years of federation since 1901 in Western Australia. You don't hear a thing about it. It's almost like we're too guilty, we're too afraid to even mention it, because we're seen as being out of step with the lefties, for the want of a better word. And I don't think people should have to feel guilty. I mean, I'm proud of our colonial past in Western Australia, as are the people in Sydney who are proud of their colonial past over there. So I've had a fair bit to do with these raps through business and that, and they don't work. I've noticed in private business they just don't work. It's all about optics without delivering real outcomes. And sorry, Michelle, I disagree. I think it is symbolic rather than substantive. And the Shire can work directly with, especially the Aboriginal, the Harvey Aboriginal Corporation, can work directly to achieve real outcomes. And that's what I've always wanted to see, is real outcomes. And again, I think people around Australia are tired of the billions of dollars that have been spent on this issue and see no real outcomes. And they do a report to the federal government every year, and some of them are going backwards. And it's appalling, it's simply appalling. So from a Shire level, I think reconciliation has to be action-driven, not policy-driven. I think we need to direct our limited resources to core services, and we've certainly been speaking about that as recently as this morning. It's going to tie up staff to report annually. We've got to report to this organisation over East. And organisations like ours, we can support Indigenous people through tailored, localised engagement instead of a national framework that is dictated by others. So with that in mind, and you've heard me speak on this numerous times, but I'll foreshadow a motion that Council terminates the Reconciliation Action Plan. Is there any speakers for?
For the motion for that, Craig?
We've got right to reply. Is there any other speakers for?
Yes, yes, I want to speak, thank you. Thank you, yes.
Yeah, Councillor Campbell?
Yes, thank you. Councillors, I'll be speaking to endorse the Shire's first RAP, and I'll also foreshadow an alternate motion should this officer's recommendation not be successful. This is a reflective RAP. It is an entry point into the reconciliation journey. It represents a framework that allows us to further build on the already established relationship, increases understanding, and identify practical opportunities to work with our Aboriginal people within our community. As elected members, we will all bring our own life experiences, beliefs and perspectives into the chamber, and we've just heard Councillor Carboni's position on this. That diversity of thought is healthy and forms part of the robust debate. However, when making decisions on behalf of our community, we must be careful to distinguish between our personal views and our responsibilities as councillors, which is to represent all of our community groups. Our First Nation people comprise of approximately 2.8% of our population. Whilst they may be a minority in terms of numbers, their contribution to our community has been significant and far-reaching. This RAP does not seek to elevate one group above another. It seeks to recognise the unique place our First Nations people have in Australia's history, and to establish a framework for respectful engagement and collaboration. In fact, during my discussions with the elders as the role of Shire President, they highlighted the cultural diversity within our region and provided mechanisms that we may introduce to make them more inclusive. What a great outcome this is from that process. They understand that we are a multicultural shire, and they come up with solutions on how we can incorporate all cultural community groups. The document before us has been developed through considerable effort and consultation. An endorsement today does not require councillors to abandon their personal views. It is simply a commitment that the Shire of Harvey will continue to learn, listen, and build constructive relationships with an important part of our community. We know local government is the level of government closest to the people, and we should pride ourselves on being inclusive, community-focused, and responsive to local needs. Supporting this RAP is consistent with those values. Councillors, I also want to remind you that Council endorsed the development of the RAP as part of its council plan. So it's not something that has been pushed by our First Nations people. This was something that was endorsed by Council through the council plan. And maybe that's when we should have been having those discussions. Through my discussions with elders and the emerging elders, it was disappointing to hear that they felt intimidated by Council resolving to endorse the RAP. They were worried about the possible fallout. However, they still were confident that this is the correct action to take. That is leadership. Every deputation provided by the elders, and last week and today we had a deputation by Elder Leslie Ugal, is both respectful, and reminded Council that this is an opportunity to shape our relationships, that we cannot change the past actions, but to walk this journey, which may not be perfect, but it's a start. And I think that's something that we could take a lesson from. So councillors, today's decision is not about whether each of us agrees with every word in the document. It is about whether we are prepared to take this respectful step forward towards a better understanding and engagement with a highly valued part of our community, and I believe we should. So I therefore support the officer's recommendation and encourage fellow councillors to do the same. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Campbell. Is there any speakers against? Councillor Harvey.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Cavani. Just to reiterate some of yours, and I agree with what you've said. When you get to intimidation, I spoke against the Welcome to Country, and I felt very intimidated by certain people of the community, even though certain other people of the community asked me to speak on their behalf. And look, I love the Aboriginal people of this town and have a lot of time for them. However, I read this morning, that there's $44,000 per head given to the Aboriginal people, where there's only $19,600 per head given to the Australian white people of the community. So to me, I think the discrimination or the racism, it's working both ways, for the want of a better way, working both ways. And I think until we bring that closer, it's never going to happen. $5.8 billion was spent on the Aboriginal communities up until this year. And I just think people are sick of it. They really are. And that's my point of view, and that's the point of view of some of my voters in the community. And I had to put it across.
Thanks, Councillor Harvey. Is there a speaker for? Councillor Dickinson.
Thank you. And I'd just like to thank staff for for the work that they've done in putting the RAP together and this proposal, and especially Ethan as well. It's been a very challenging task, and I want to acknowledge that, and I thank you for persevering and for being here today and for attending the meetings, because it's not easy, and I appreciate that. I'd also like to appreciate and acknowledge Elder Leslie Bugle, and I'd like to thank you on your deputations last week and this week, and I thought that they were very thought-provoking and from the heart. And this item is from the heart, and for all of us. And I'm not afraid to say that I support this, and I support the Indigenous community. And I think there's people in the community that are afraid to say that, and I say that because I've lived here all my life. I think that the RAP can be used to build on the relationships, to acknowledge the history and the heritage and the status of our local Indigenous population and the greater Indigenous population of our country. And it is a significant history in the status, not just of Australia, but of the world. It's one of the oldest, longest standing communities that are still in existence, and I think that needs to be acknowledged. I think that we need to find ways of engaging with all sectors of our community. And so this RAP is addressing one sector of the community which I acknowledge. And it's not about creating division. I think it's about unifying, and it's bringing us all together and being in the same room and having a respectful discussion. And I think that it will assist us in our decision making and our policy making. And as councillors, we have to make decisions according to policy. So I'm fully supportive of endorsing the Draft Reconciliation Action Plan. And I think that, this document will give us the tools to move forward in recognition, in respect, and acknowledgement. And so therefore I endorse the recommendation.
Thanks, Councillor Dickinson. Any speakers against? None speaker for? Councillor Con.
Thanks, Councillor Carboni. I have really struggled with this issue, and I acknowledge that I voted against it when it was put forward initially for a whole host of reasons. And I took advice from our local elders, went and met with them extensively about the issues. By way of background, I've worked in Roban, I've worked with some beautiful people in Roban, and I've nursed in an Aboriginal nursing home in South Hedland. I actually have an extensive experience working with Aboriginal people. I've done bush nursing, 40 kilometres out in the bush, sat down and eaten kangaroo tail soup and bungara and all of that. What I disagree with about the RAP is that we in our shire, I believe, have a great relationship with our Indigenous people. I think we have a great working relationship and a great personal relationship as it comes with our Indigenous people. So I disagree with the fact that we have to report to people over east and in Perth that we're doing just that. That's what I disagree with. I also think that not everybody that comes way after me in the next 20 or 30 years when I'm long gone, not everybody thinks the way I do, and not everybody has the experiences that I have had with some beautiful Aboriginal people. So I've reconsulted with our local Indigenous people, and I think the only way to ensure that there is some fairness and equity moving forward is to put that in writing so that people that come after me have a plan to move forward. It's not my preference, I'll say that up front. My preference is one-on-one personal relationships and working with them as we do now. And I think our shire has a great relationship. So I don't like the plan for the reasons that it's a plan that goes to somebody over east to monitor. However, I do accept that not everybody has the experiences
and some of the relationships that I have, and so people that are coming after me can use this as a tool to make sure we don't go back on the dark days that we had some many years ago for our Indigenous people. So I have changed my tune, and I will support this back payment.
Thanks, Councillor Conn. Any speakers against? That, Councillor Roy, would you like the right to reply?
Thank you.
Sorry?
I'll speak for. Will you speak for?
I'll probably give Councillor Moore the right to reply.
Right.
Thank you, through the chair. As most people here know, I spent the majority of my life as a police officer, age 17 through to 60. And I was always taught and tried to practice that all people should be treated respectfully and in consideration of their cultures. In fact, I stuck by that for 42 years and 10 months. I can, as can we all in this instance, have some, if not a minuscule effect on history going forward. I have formed an opinion that reconciliation, and I've said this before, if done properly, is not about statements or ceremonies. I see it about being about relationships, trust, engagement, listening, planning, and how we make decisions as individuals, as a community, and in this case as a council that serves its entire community. Black, white, brindle, yellow, who cares? The entire community. Reconciliation done properly is not about symbolism, it's about good governance and healthy for all the community, regardless of race, religion or culture. I said before, it must be real, not performative. It must be local, accountable and measurable, not a template document that looks good and delivers little. That would be, in my opinion, insulting and nothing more than virtue signalling. I reflect as a former police officer on something that occurred just recently, which was a commemoration regarding the Forest River Massacre in 1926 on Balangara country in the North Kimberley, and a lot of you might not be aware of this, but one of the alleged perpetrators, and the alleged perpetrators were police officers, was a fellow by the name of Constable St. Jack. Constable St. Jack's son was also a serving police officer with me at Mandurah. And we very often looked through the Royal Commission, and I said to him, his name's Jeff St. Jack, and I said to him, Jeff, you shouldn't be alive because your father should have hung. In saying that, just recently at the commemoration, Ronnie Morgan of the Balangara people, and a direct descendant of the victims of the Forest River Massacre, where upwards of 26 Aboriginal people were executed, murdered, whatever you like to say, during a police operation, he said, let's show the rest of the community what real reconciliation looks like by coming together. This is a man whose descendants on country were murdered by police officers. So my emotional connection to that is I spent 42 years and 10 months defending the community, and some 100 years ago, people who I looked up to as being my predecessors carried out this awful crime. He also went on to say, we need to find a way through this to now lift up and move forward. Superintendent Hutchinson of the Kimberley Police District said at the same time, this is not an occasion for rhetoric, it is an occasion for truth, respect, remembrance and coming together. The Forest River Massacre remains one of the most confronting chapters in the history of policing in Western Australia and sits foremost in my mind and has done for many, many years. If this plan is adopted and approved, it means holding it to account through transparent reporting, genuine local engagement and clear outcomes. I wholeheartedly support the officer's recommendation to complete the final reconciliation action plan and forward it to Reconciliation Australia for further approval. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Harvey. Before it goes to the vote, item 4 of the resolution requires a delegate and a deputy. So I'll call for the delegate position first. If anyone would like to be a delegate on the working group. Everyone's happy for Councillor Morley?
Yep.
And a deputy?
Whoever.
Whoever. Councillor Coleman, you happy to?
Yeah, I'm happy either way, yep.
You tell me.
Yeah.
You go.
Okay, I'll put that, I'll put the officer recommendation forward. All those in favour? Right. Against? 2 against. Thank you. We'll move on. Item 12.1.1, the CEO Recruitment Committee. Now we're going to, this could get a bit messy. We're going to resume standing orders.
Yeah, we just moved to another.
Okay, can I ask who's interested, just by a show of hands, who's interested in going on the CEO Recruitment Committee?
An alternate motion. I'd like to move an alternate motion.
Yeah.
That all council members become the CEO Recruitment Committee. Point 5.
We have to do this motion first, don't we?
Okay.
He's going to move in a second. Yeah.
Thank you, and through the Deputy Sheriff President, Councillor Coleman, in moving an alternative, is your intention that we keep the rest of the motion? Amendment?
Yeah, just point 5.
So we've run through the standing orders and how I propose that we do this. If there was more than the number of councillors, then we would need to first and second the motion to take that amendment, or if the amendment isn't going to come through, which we haven't first and seconded yet, and we're going to hold a ballot for the positions, then we would need to suspend standing orders to do that. So I guess for ease, is everyone in the chamber wanting to be on the CEO Performance Committee, because that'll help with how we deal with the motion.
Councillor Carboni, I just think it's so important. It's, one of the single important issues that this council is ever going to do. And, praising Annie's going to be a hard ask anyway, so.
Yeah, we won't go into the debate yet. This is just about the process, about how we get to that. So I'll go back to what Courtney said. Is everyone happy to go on the CEO Recruitment Committee?
Yeah.
Councillor Campbell?
Yes, and I also have Councillor McCarthy, who's also interested on being part of the CEO Recruitment Committee.
My suggestion then is that we first and second the motion and then allow the amendment from Councillor Cook, which we have prepared, and then we can insert that into the substantive.
Okay. Move to Councillor Bronwyn, second to Councillor Morley. We'll bring up the amendment.
Good on you.
Apologies, Council. In the chamber, this is a lot easier for us to manage. Councillor Coleman, and I'm going to put forward amendment, please.
Are you satisfied with that amendment, Councillor Coleman?
Yep. I assume that the President is happy to be the presiding member?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for asking.
We might have to do a minor tweak.
Currently.
So June instead Yes. Yes, sorry. And then we remove 0.5, which will be next.
It's fine, it just needs to include.
So do we still have 0.6 and 7 and all that coming through as well?
Yes, we might need to remove all of these. So then we also, so 0.4. So that removes 6.
Oh, yes, what I'm saying is that 0.7 it authorises a manager of government, 0.6, it's not up there.
And then removes 0.6.
It's on ours, but not up there.
There is some changes.
Yeah, this is the
So
Are you going to put in your amendment, Councillor Coleman, a appointment of a deputy presiding member? So 0.7 of the old motion.
And 6 has to go in there, doesn't it? At least one independent person. 0.7.
So there's a 0.4 up there on your amendment now that appoints the Shire President as the presiding member.
Yep.
We just need a deputy.
Yeah.
Councillor Coleman, the numbering in the agenda is slightly different to what is on the run sheet, which has changed as a result of an addendum that was issued late this afternoon, putting in appointing a presiding member and a deputy presiding member. And so this is the officer's recommendation as per the addendum that was sent out, which was late. That's why the numbering is slightly different.
Okay.
if we want to deal with sorry, and through the chair, Councillor Coleman, are you wanting to include the appointment of the deputy presiding member in your amendment, or would you prefer to leave that to the substantive motion?
Whatever you think's best. I'll take your advice.
Leave it. Okay, so we'll just leave it at that.
Councillor Holly?
Just if I may, the email that we got late this Arvo, that's the correct one we're working on now, is that right?
Correct.
Yeah. Thank you.
That's the amendment. Okay, so the amendments as written up there. Are you happy with that, Councillor Coleman?
Removes 0.6. Yep. Yes, I guess so.
Do I have a seconder? Is there any discussion? If not, I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? It's unanimous. We'll go back to the substantive motion now.
We only need 0.4.
Word of success.
Madam President, we don't need point 4 now, do we? Because she's already going to be on there.
What's it, John? Yeah, we can remove that. Yes. We'll have to leave it in because it wasn't a part of the amendment.
Oh, okay.
So we need a deputy presiding member. Are you happy for the deputy shire president to do that?
Makes sense.
No objection?
I'm going to rock up.
Yeah, that's all I want Freya back.
Would you like to take over then?
A few technical issues here.
Sorry, councillors.
What I forgot to say.
Have you got a week on and where we can issue?
Okay, you need some time to read the substandard motion? So basically, what's changed?
Through the Shire President, so we've amended to point 5, which includes all councillors on the CEO recruitment committee. Point 3 adopts the terms of reference as amended, noting that they will be changed to all council. And then we have nominated the Shire President as the presiding member and Councillor Carboni as the deputy presiding member on the committee. Everything else related.
Oh, okay, so it's good.
Everyone happy with that? Any discussion? If not, I'll put that to the vote. All those in favour? Against? No one against? Unanimous. Okay, we got there. I did say that would be messy. Item 12.1.2, the deed of renewal and variation of lease for Ampitel Proprietary Limited. We have an officer's recommendation. Move Councillor Bromham, seconded Councillor Dickinson. Any discussion? I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? It's unanimous. 12.1.3, the Housing Advisory Group. Then we have a council resolution. Move Councillor Dickinson, seconded Councillor Bromham. Councillor Dickinson, you wish to speak?
No, there's no alternate motion.
Question?
I just said, are you aware that there's an alternate motion that was sent through?
What, sorry? Yeah, so first and second would have to be a full shadow motion. Yeah. So we need, now that's moved and seconded, we need 3 appointments there. So I'm asking for 3 people to go on the Housing Advisory Group from Council. Councillor Bromham. Oh, sorry, Councillor Hitchcock. Shall I hand? Oh, it's a check. And Councillor Dickinson. Okay, we've got to speak to the motion, Councillor Dickinson.
No, I think that this is going to be a good proposal, and due to the housing shortage and everything that's throughout the state, this is a way that we'll be able to investigate that and hopefully come up with some solutions for our local government. And so I think that this will enable us to have an orderly approach to addressing our housing situation.
Second, I'd like to speak.
Yeah. I need to say that, this is one of Judge Riviera's babies. We always wanted more housing in the town of Harvey, and I think within the Shire of Harvey we need to look at this because there's a definite need for housing for staff, not only staff from within our organisation, but also others as well. So I think this is great.
Further speaker against the motion, Councillor Coleman.
Thank you. In the past couple of years, the advisory groups have not worked in the Shire. Largely, they are not well attended, and we all agree that they became pretty much a staff meeting. The advisory groups don't have any capacity to minute the meetings and send them through to council for consideration. I believe it should be a committee of council because we're looking at the whole Shire, not just the land that we've released in Harvey here, but this is a 5 to 10 year committee that needs to be in place, and I believe it needs to have stronger legs than an advisory group. I believe that it needs to be a representative of the whole Shire, and we're looking at pockets in whether it be Rowlands, Brunswick, Yallourn, Australind, Legendale or Harvey. It doesn't matter. I think that issue of housing is not going to go away, and I think an advisory group is just, in my opinion, it's a token group, and it needs to be a committee of council so that it can actually make formal recommendations to council. It can source professional bodies and professional opinions and bring that to council for full consideration. And that has not happened in the past with advisory groups. They have not been well regarded
So I vote against it for that reason. I believe it needs to be a committee of council.
Yeah. With this motion, out of the three people that put their hand up, I need to appoint a group chair. So out of the three of you, which were Councillor Bronwyn, Hitchcock and Dickinson, would one like to be the chair of that committee? Oh, not sorry, the group.
Yeah.
Councillor Dickinson. Is there any speakers for the motion? Any speakers against the motion? Well, I'll speak against. I think I'll go with Councillor Coleman on this one. I think it is something that we need to take seriously, and in my experience with advisory groups, they seem to start off well and peter out. I think, as she says, it's more formalised, it's more structured, minuted, and can make serious recommendations to council and getting expert advice that we need to get. So I think in this occasion, I'll support, and I gather your alternative motions along those lines, so yeah, I would support an alternative motion. Any speakers for the motion? Any speakers against? If that, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? The motion is carried. Item 12.2, infrastructure services is nil. Sustainable development, item 12.3.1, the proposed standard scheme amendment number 6, lot 9531, Grand Oak Fairway, Australind. Do you have an officer's recommendation?
Question?
Question, Councillor Coleman?
Have all of the neighbours been contacted directly? Have all of the neighbouring properties been directly contacted about this?
Director of Sustainable Development.
So it has been out for submissions. Can't tell you off the top of my head if they have all been directly contacted.
I guess my statement through the chair is that we often get people come back and say they weren't informed when they want to lodge an objection, or they weren't informed of the conditions. So I'd be looking at getting the direct neighbours involved, or at least have a discussion with them to let them be fully informed.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there's a recommendation on the books. Do you want to move an alternative? Director of Sustainable Development.
So through the chair, this is going to be advertised for comment. So we're looking to.
It's going to get advertised.
Okay, so can we directly engage the people that are direct neighbours to it as well?
So through the chair, going on that, we will do our best then to directly contact.
Okay, yeah, happy if that happens, that'd be great. Thank you.
Okay. So remove it for the motion. Councillor Dickinson, seconder. Councillor Coleman. Any discussion? If not, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Unanimous. Item 12.3.2, application for development approval, retrospective transport depot 88 Yamble Avenue, Harvey. The officer's recommendation. The mover. Councillor Dickinson. Sorry, I'm not on the screen. Councillor Holly seconding. Would you like to speak, Councillor Dickinson?
I keep going to press the button for the
Yeah, I've been for it.
So my apologies. Yeah, I think, that it's pretty self-explanatory. I acknowledge that it is in a rural area. We do get, truck movements in rural areas. I'm fully aware of that. I don't think it will not have a huge impact on the neighbours that can't be addressed or managed, I don't believe, so I'm happy to endorse the officer's recommendation.
Councillor Holly,
No.
is there any speakers against? There's no speakers against, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? That's unanimous. Item 12.3.3, application for development approval, change of use, short-term rental accommodation, lot 168, number 13, Montan Way, Binningham. We have an officer's recommendation there. Moved Councillor Bronham, seconded. By the seconder. Councillor Morley, wish to speak, Councillor Bronham? Or was it a question? Question, Councillor Coleman.
Thank you. The operational management plan, which applies to this one and the next item, are they enforceable by the Shire? So, the pets must have prior approval. Music must be off by 10. Loud music must be off by 10 p.m. That's a policing issue. Parties and functions are prohibited. How much enforcement does our Shire have in terms of these rental accommodations? So does the operational management plan, can that be enforced by Shire?
Just through the chair, is it?
Okay. But I note that once approval is given, it can't be taken away. So what is the outcome of if there's continuing breaches, what's the outcome of that?
So through the chair, the Shire will investigate what those breaches are. Depending on the severity, we'll respond accordingly. So that will be dependent on how severe those breaches are. So I could say here and now, if we revoke, so actions we can take, but it obviously depends on what's occurring.
So it can be revoked, are you saying?
Yes.
Because it's got, the statement is on the next one, once development approval has been granted, there is no ability for the approval to be revoked. It's in writing on 12.3.3.
So sorry.
Through the chair, in mind, please. So that, through the chair, so the sentence and the venom that you're pointing out, so the DA, once a DA is issued, it cannot be revoked, but it has a time frame of 2 years, validity for 2 years. So then it cannot be approved, or the Shire decides not to approve it at that time. However, the enforcement part is under the Planning Development Act. So we can pursue it and obviously fine to pursue enforcement measures against the property owner.
Thank you.
Councillor Campbell, do you have an amendment?
I do, thank you, Chair. If that can come up, please.
Yeah, we'll have a mover and seconder, so if you want to move your amendment.
It's on the screen.
Amendment is on the screen.
Thank you. Do you want me to talk to it now?
Yes.
Yep.
Sorry, can I get a seconder? Seconder, Councillor Dickinson.
Thank you, Councillor Dickinson. I think this is a pretty simple amendment, and it has to do with allowing dogs onto the premises. And this sits in with this one and our next report as well. One of the issues is that the property allows dogs, they're not allowed them inside the house, and it'll only, well, it has potential to cause issues for the neighbours. So I think if we can actually remove that condition from the operational plan, it will remove that concern that some of the objections have come through about allowing dogs onto the property, and hopefully will not cause any reasons for complaints. So I think it's a simple one. Let's not allow dogs on the premise, and that'll remove any issues around dogs barking and management of them. Thank you.
Councillor Dickinson, would you like to speak?
No. Can I raise a question?
Question, Councillor Conlon.
Thank you. So under the recent Rental Tenancy Act, you can't prevent animals in a tenancy property. So I declare I run a B&B, my property, I can determine whether there's dogs on it or not. Nobody else can. No, nobody else has the authority to tell me I can or cannot have dogs on my property. So I'm just querying whether or not in that operational management plan we have the authority to say that they can't have dogs on that property.
So through the chair, that's separate legislation that we're talking about. So understand is the Tenancy Act. This is not this legislation. So it doesn't apply in the case.
Does or doesn't, sorry,
Does not apply.
Does not apply.
So can I just be clear, the Shire has the ability to state that a short-term rental property, B&B or whatever, can or cannot have dogs.
So under the operational plan section within the local policy, local plan policy 6.2.1, under operation management plan, an operation management plan to detail code of conduct rules for occupants, guests, pets, and visitors.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so any discussion on Councillor Hong?
One thing, if I may, sir. I was just wondering with the breach of policies and that sort of thing, are they on the spot? We don't have to give them a warning or anything like that, which would defeat the purpose, of course. Is it to stop right there and then, after hours and those sorts of things? Probably to Mr. Hughes.
So to the chair, so we do have an on-spot fine, $500. Obviously then we can pursue prosecution. If there's a breach confirmed, we can actually move straight to prosecution.
But at the time, if it's at 11 o'clock at night and it cuts off at 10, we can do it straight there and then, can we? Stop it and fine as well.
We certainly can request it, yes.
Yep.
To fine on the spot. I have to double check that. Presume we can. But then there's other methods, obviously, to comment that they can call the great release.
Great.
Just as much. And probably that's what we recommend in the first instance for allowed parties and that.
Beautiful, thank you.
Okay, is there any discussion on the amendment? For or against? If there's not, I'll put the amendment forward to vote. All those in favour of the amendment? That's unanimous. That'll form part of the substantive motion. You need to put that up. Yep. Sorry? So point F has been changed up on the screen. Councillor Bromham, do you wish to speak to the substantive motion?
Only to say that we really need tourism within our shire. It's nothing's been obvious in the past. This particular property is a little bit different from the next one because this has a manager close by that they can ring if there's a problem. So I think from that perspective, this one's going to be well managed, and I'm quite happy to support it under those conditions.
Councillor Morley is the second.
I'm fine, thank you.
Any speakers for or against? If not, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Unanimous for. Item 12.3.4, the application for development approval, change of use, short-term rental accommodation, Block 55-7, Lugano Edge, Biddinger. Again, we have a motion. Do I have a mover? Councillor Holly, seconder.
I'll second it, so we can.
Councillor Bronwyn. Councillor Campbell, you wish to move a similar amendment?
Yes, I do, thank you for, exactly the same reasons as the previous item, thank you.
Do I have a seconder for the amendment? Councillor Bronwyn.
Question?
Question, Councillor Coleman.
Yes. I note that the operational management plan indicates that there's quiet time between 10 p.m. and 8 a.m. Can I just get clarity that the law is that you can use equipment after 7:30 a.m. in the morning? You can use your lawnmower and heavy equipment after 7:30 a.m., not 8 a.m.
So through the chair, just to clarify, when you say heavy equipment.
Any equipment. It says no noise or quiet time between 10 p.m. and 8 a.m. Well, lawnmower is not quiet, and so equipment is allowed to be used, my understanding, from 7:30 a.m., not 8 a.m.
No, what the applicant is doing is applying for approval to have activities in the house that are not normally a residential house. Therefore, council has the ability to set conditions for that use. So if the management plan says no noise before 8, then that is the part that council then enforces. I understand that generally there are noise limitations and they cut off earlier, but in this case, then the council's development approval.
So the DA will override state law?
Yeah, well, it's in addition to state law, and because it doesn't override it, it's still, state law is still there, but this then is in addition to, because state law says restricted between these hours, all you're doing is extending that through this development, through this management plan. So saying you need to be quiet for longer. Doesn't override it.
So they still can use it. What I'm saying is I don't want them to be in breach when the state law, if the state law says you can do it at 7:30, we don't want them to be in breach if they do that.
The management plan operates when there are tenants in the property, when they have short-let tenants in the property. The tenants cannot make noise before 8 o'clock. However, if the place is empty and there are no tenants in the property and they went and mowed the lawns, potentially they could say, well, it's not the tenants creating law, we're doing normal maintenance activity that's allowed by every surrounding property. But I think it's more likely with the management plan, the way it is, they will keep the noise down until 8 o'clock in the morning. It doesn't replace state law, it just says the operation plan does say when to, this is how the premises will operate while tenants are using that property, the short stay tenants or guests, if you like. The same as any motel, hotel through the Shire.
Mr. Hughes and Councillor.
So just to ask, there's a difference between the noise regulations, which is usually 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday to Saturday. In this case, they were talking about Australia, short-term rental accommodation and hosting. So as Mr. Putman suggested, this is specific legislation where the Shire can enforce. So it depends on what the offence is, if that's what you're alluding to. So if you have a guest using heavy machinery, outside the conditions of this approval, then we may be able to pursue compliance enforcement. If it's the owner calling the lawn at 7:30 in the morning, chances are they're not in breach of any conditions.
Councillor Bond, you have a question?
I just think that regardless, so it's state law, and nothing overrides it. We can't really override that, and state law can't override Commonwealth. So I understand.
Well, we'll deal with the amendment if you want to make a further amendment to can do that.
I'm happy because I don't see anyone holiday to mow the lawn.
You're not going to go to the ship.
Okay, is there any speakers for or against the amendment? There's no speakers for or against the amendment. I'll put the amendment. All those in favour? Against? None against? Back to the substantive motion. That's been amended. Item F. As amended. Any discussion? No discussion, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? None against. The public health plan, item 12.3.5. On this one? Yeah. Item 12.3.5, the public health plan 2026 to 2029. Have a motion there that council adopt it as per attachment 2. Question?
No, move it.
Moving, councillor Coleman. Second, councillor Holly. Any discussion? If not, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? None against? Motion is carried. Corporate services, item 12.4.1, the financial statements as of the 31st of May 2026. Have an officer's recommendation. Mover. Moved councillor Dickinson, seconded councillor Holly. Any discussion? No discussion. All those in favour? None against. Motion is carried. Item 12.4.2, the payments for May 2026. Do I have a mover for the officer's recommendation? Move councillor Coleman, second councillor Bromley. Any discussion? Put the motion. All those in favour? None against. Motion is carried. Item 12.4.3, the digital transformation strategy and plan. Have an officer's recommendation. Do I have a mover? Move councillor Morley, second councillor Bromham. Is there any discussion on this one? There's no discussion. I'll move the motion. All those in favour? All in favour, none against. Motion's carried. Item 12.4.4, the proposed revenue and rating plan for 2026-2027. And I'd like to thank all the staff and councillors for the many workshops and time that's been put into this, putting this forward. So this is to put it out to advertising. So do I have a mover for this motion? Moved councillor Coleman, second councillor Holly. Any discussion? There's no discussion. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? None against. Motion's carried. We're getting there. Item community and lifestyle. Item 12.5.1, the community grants assessment panel. We have a officer's recommendation. Do I have a mover? Moved councillor Dickinson, seconded councillor Bromham. We need delegates for this one. So, do I have 2 delegates? Councillor Hitchcock, councillor Dickinson or Coleman?
I'll go the other.
All right. Councillor Dickinson with councillor Coleman as the deputy?
Yep.
Any discussion? There's no discussion. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? None against. Motion is carried. Item 12.5.3, the Honours and Awards Homegrown Heroes Program update. We have a motion. There was an addendum to this one. Do I have a mover? Councillor Bromham, seconder. Councillor Coleman. Any discussion? Question, councillor Dickinson.
I'm just seeking clarification. So we had some nominees put forward for the homegrown heroes that would normally have been awarded at the WA Week dinner. And the decision is that they will be put forward are they going to be put forward with additional nominees for the Aspire, or will they awards that are presented on Australia Day, or will they be presented independently but at the same time as the Aspire Australia Day awards?
Through the chair, the intent is that they will be awarded independent of the Aspire awards at Australia Day.
Is there any further discussion? Any questions? Further discussion? If not, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? None against. Motion is carried. Item 13, elected members' motions of which previous notice has been given. This is yours, Councillor Coleman.
Yep.
Councillor Coleman moving.
Yep.
Is there a seconder? Councillor Hitchcock. Councillor Coleman, would you like to speak to it?
Yes, thank you. I do have a number of queries based on our agenda and the officer's comments. So the fact that we removed it in 2020, the designation of senior employees, and they were senior employees at the time, and they were actually employed at the time. Can I ask a question, please? How did we remove them without justifying without reviewing our contracts in 2020? Because the implication throughout the whole report is that we can't do it to existing employees. So how did we do that in 2020 when we did have existing employees?
Through the chair, at the time there was only one position that was actually a designated senior employee, which was the Director of Infrastructure Services, and it was removing the designation, so I believe when the contract was renewed, it was removed at that time. I'd have to confirm that with you.
Okay. The other information that we were giving at the briefing is that most councils have actually got rid of the designated senior employees. So I did some research, and the City of Bunbury has them. City of Busselton actually has them. Capel, the Shire of Capel has them. The City of Albany has them. Shire of Dandarrigan has them. Shire of Collie, the Shire of Mundaring, and the City of Vincent. So this item directly aligns with Goal 5 of the Shire of Harvey's council plan. It's which is a representative leadership that is future thinking, transparent and accountable. Specifically, Objective 5.3, accountable leadership supported by professional and skilled administration. The Act explicitly empowers Council to designate employees or a specific class of employees to be senior employees. Formally applying this designation to the Shire's executive directors introduces critical governance benefits to the Shire of Harvey. I do note that the attachments, one of the attachments that was sent out was suggesting that the Administrative Efficiencies Policy position was recommending that it be taken out of the Act. Well, that actually goes back over 12 months when it was the old Department of Local Government, Sport and Cultural Industries, and the new Act was incorporated in January 2026. So it wasn't taken out of the Act, sure. I think that was a bit of a red herring. It gives enhanced council oversight. The CEO must inform council of any proposal to employ or dismiss a designated senior employee. This ensures that elected members retain an active voice and ultimate oversight on appointments managing the Shire's critical operational portfolios. It does not give us access to their contracts. It does not mean that they can't, their contracts have to be renewed. We do not get access to their funding, to their wages. Senior employees must be employed under a maximum 5-year fixed-term performance contract. This shifts positions away from the permanent open-ended arrangements, providing our Shire with the structural flexibility to adapt the executive leadership team to evolving strategic goals without risking excessive industrial or financial liability. We have tremendous directors on our on our, in our shire. Section 5.3 of the 5.38 of the Act mandates that the performance of the designated senior employees be formally reviewed at least once every year. I understand that that's done anyway. This creates a transparent framework directly linking executive deliverables to the Shire's corporate business plan. There are no negatives to this. It does provide counsel, particularly in a shifting environment where we have a new CEO as a temporary, potentially a different CEO as a substantive. It gives us the oversight for our senior directors, our directors to become senior employees, and it gives us a say so that they can't be just managed out the door. So for that reason, I put forward this to and ask councillors to support it, particularly in these changing times.
Thank you, Councillor Coleman. Councillor Hitchcock, anything to add?
Yep, so section 5.37 of the Local Government Act exists to strengthen governance over senior staffing decisions by ensuring appropriate oversight of the most influential administrative roles within local government. These positions materially affect strategy, culture, service delivery and financial stewardship. Adoption of this means we enable shared accountability between CEO and council for senior leadership decisions, while preserving that separation between council and administration. As Councillor Collins said, numerous WA local governments have already adopted these explicit policies. The result is a stronger council oversight, strategic alignment on leadership and improved public trust. Councillors accountable to the community for outcomes. This provision ensures council has oversight of the people in the positions most responsible for delivering them. Section 5.37 doesn't weaken the CEO's authority, it legitimises it through transparent governance. In practice, 5.37 is considered standard governance architecture, not an exception to the rule. It's not about council managing staff, it's about council responsibly governing the organisation. Adopting this motion ensures that those entrusted with the highest levels of authority are appointed, retained and dismissed with appropriate democratic oversight.
That's it.
I have a question.
Sorry?
I have a question.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Just seeking some guidance in relation to what council can actually do in relation to if there's changes to senior staff's contracts, or the CEO wants to manage a particular director or the like. Does this allow council to have a role in that decision making, or is it just the CEO needs to advise council of their decision? Just seeking some clarity around that. Thank you.
Thank you for the Shire President. There is no role for council in managing a designated senior employee. The effect of that section of legislation is to employ or terminate, but nothing, I think it's section 539 off the top of my head, excuse me if I got that wrong, that speaks to the CEO being able to perform the functions of the contract. So there's no requirement for a report to come to council to do anything else in relation to the contract, such as retaining employees through contract extension, or actually moving a designated senior employee into another directorship, where there's also a senior employee designation.
Thank you.
Through the chair, can I just clarify that, please?
Yeah, question, Councillor Coleman.
Yeah, so 5.372 says that the CEO is to inform the council of each proposal to employ or dismiss a senior employee, and the council may accept or reject the CEO's recommendation. But if the council rejects the recommendation, it is to inform the CEO of the reason for its doing so. So council, in fact, does have an oversight, unlike what was just actually said.
Councillor Coleman, I think the difference here was that that's for the recruitment and the termination. In regards to where it applies in other situations, it doesn't apply for renewal of contracts or non-renewal of contracts. So I think that was the difference that was trying to be pointed out there. Okay, thank you.
Right, do I have a speaker against the motion? Councillor
I'll speak
Freeman.
against, thank you. And just shortly, and I thank Councillor Coleman for bringing this one forward. It's certainly one to think about, and has done the background work on other local governments. But you know, having heard that explanation in relation to what capacity the council actually has, should the CEO wish to bring a report or advise us that they are taking whatever action that involves a senior director. We're always taught that there's a separation of power and there's a clear delineation of roles, and I think this is really fundamental for us to maintain. I know that unfortunately there has been cases in the past where council has overstepped the mark, and the CEO has had to bring us back in line in relation to our directing of staff. So rules are council's responsible for the strategic direction, CEO is responsible for the day-to-day management. It works well, and I don't think we need to change it at this time. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Campbell. Councillor Morgan, did you have a question?
I suppose it's more of a statement, but it'll be I'll frame it into a question because I'm not sure whether I'm for it or against it. So if I may just speak and then put it into a question. I personally would like to see this motion deferred for the moment. I would prefer to see a report, and I would ask if staff could provide some indication as to the current status and timing of any repeal or reform, where the section, as Councillor Collins said, was supposed to be taken out of the Act, but it hasn't at this stage. What the effect on existing employment arrangements would be, whether the affected directors have been consulted and what their views are as a result of that consultancy, whether designation would require new contracts or variations in the change of title, I suppose, the industrial relations and legal risks, if there are any, and whether the designation remains in the best interests of the Shire if the legislative framework is actually likely to change. So my question would be, could this motion be deferred, and do I need to do an alternate motion?
Could we have foreshadow on the listening?
Yeah. And could staff provide us with that information before we consider Councillor Collins' initial motion?
You have to foreshadow on Councillor Moore in the event that this is lost.
So I would foreshadow a motion to defer Councillor Collins' motion and to obtain the information based on what I've just said before we reconsider it. Is that right?
Yeah, just a question in relation to what Councillor Moore has requested. Obviously, we have operational and governance responsibilities. So council is governance. A lot of the things in the question that Councillor Morley has asked information on, I would see would come from the operational side and not necessarily something that would be that should go to councillors. So I'm just wondering, is that correct? Am I correct in thinking that?
Through the chair, I would say that there are some elements there that potentially wouldn't be information that would be provided to council in regards to consultation with staff, in regards to the designation. The officer's recommendation has stated that to further ascertain the information on the legalities of moving to a designated senior employee to obtain legal advice. So I think that if this was deferred, then I would suggest that part of that motion would be to seek legal advice in regards to the implications of the application of designated senior employees on the contracts.
And through the chair, I probably would say that we would need to amend something in the budget to allow for that expense to occur. I would estimate that generally when we look into contracts for senior people in the organisation, it's roughly $3,500 to $10,000, depending on the level of consultation that would have to occur with the directors. I've not budgeted for that in the up and coming draft budget, but if that's a consideration, it would be in addition to our operational costs and expenses.
Okay, I'm up to a speaker for the motion. Speaker against? Councillor Dickinson?
Against this, because continually through training, and I am doing my diploma in local government at the moment, we are told that we only employ the CEO, and the CEO manages operation. I think that this borders more in operations, and I think that the community would misinterpret this and think that the role of council has direct implications in directorships, which we don't. So I think it would be more confusing for the community if we were to proceed with this. Putting that aside, I also think that the cost of investigating it would not go down well with our communities at the moment, and we've had deputations tonight about rates, and we're getting slammed all the time about trying to keep our costs down. I think that as councillors, we do the basic training, we've all done that, and we have been instructed in the basic training that operations is separate from council, so I do not support that.
Yes, Councillor Dickinson, any speakers for the motion? Speaker against? Councillor Brummer?
Yeah, I see against it because I believe it blurs the lines between governance and operational processes, and I can see that even occurs now in some cases, as the President said earlier. So I think by keeping that division between the two is so important if you want good governance. And if you end up with people, or how can I put it, if you type of blurs the lines to the point, I think individuals could cross that line unintentionally. So I think keeping it as it is very clear and concise in what our operational and governance roles are.
Thanks, Councillor Brummer. Councillor Common, would you like to order a top?
Yes, thank you, Councillor Carboni. We talk about transparency, teamwork, backing each other up, and you might cast your mind back only a couple of years when we had some controversy with directors previously that resigned, then came back and resigned. Had they been senior employees, we could have backed the CEO up far better than we had the ability to do at the time. We weren't able to do that, we were hamstrung. This is in the Act. It's not blurring lines, it's in the Act. There are senior designated employees in the Act. So it's about making sure that an organisation has strength going forward, it has future direction, and it has the backup of the oversight of council, with the support and the backing up of the CEO. So it's not blurring lines at all. It's actually written into the Act. It was not taken out of the Act as of January this year when the latest Act was done. So whilst I do take Councillor Morley's point that we do need more investigation, I stand by this motion at this point because I think it's actually necessary in our changing times of potentially 2 new CEOs in the next 12 months that we put this into place.
Councillor Common, with that, I'll put the motion as written. All those in favour? 1, 2, 3. Against? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Motion is lost. Did you have an alternative motion?
Yes.
Prepared for shadow motion.
It's not the screen.
Councillor Holly, question?
Any chance if we can get it read out? I have no hope of reading that whatsoever.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah.
Councillor Moore, can you put a date on that, so defer to the August meeting or something?
Councillor Coleman and Councillor Morley, we can't actually defer a motion that's been lost, so we're just looking at the wording.
Oh, okay.
So you could instead request the chief executive officer to investigate the designation of senior employees and
Sorry,
sorry, did you hear that? Sorry. So through the chair, it could be emerging those request the CEO to investigate the designation of senior employees and ensure adequate provision in the budget. I can change that.
Yeah.
and bring a report back to council when?
I don't, if I may, through the chair, what's now June, no later than ordinary council meeting September, so July, August, September. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Sorry, can I do that too?
No, it's good. It's good work.
Just fixing formatting, sorry.
You happy with that, Councillor Morley?
Absolutely, thank you very much.
Okay, so Councillor Morley is moving for a shadowed motion that we request the Chief Executive Officer to investigate the designation of senior employees and bring a report to the September 2026 Ordinary Council meeting, and point to ensure adequate provision in the 26-27 annual budget for the investigation. Is there a seconder for that motion? Councillor Coleman. Is there any need for discussion? There's no need, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? 1, 2, 3. Against? 1, 2, 3. Who has a vote?
I think Councillor Hitchcock actually put a hand up earlier.
I did. You see that? Sorry, we'll have to do that vote again. Can all those in favour of Councillor Morley's for a shadowed motion? So 1, 2, 3, 4. Those against? 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'll use my custom vote to vote it down. That's why I'm on the big bucks. Okay, moving on, notice of motion for the following meeting, point 14, do we have any? Oh, geez, someone must have been. Item 15, reports of members, there's a list there from President Campbell and Councillor Dickinson. Does anyone else have anything to add? New business, item 16, new business of an urgent nature, introduced by decision of meeting is nil. 17, matters behind closed doors is nil. 18, closure of meeting at 6:09 p.m. Thank you everyone for your attendance and your patience tonight while we got the wording right of those motions. And I'll see you in August.